What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Donald.
And it's your girl, Ebony. So today we're going to be focusing on the Kevin Hart documentary series that is on Netflix now. It is called Kevin Hart Don't Fuck This Up. It includes 6 episodes. It goes into his past, his home life, his career, and also his relationship and the controversial scandal that he had to go through. So let's start with episode 1.
Okay.
So the title of episode 1 is 24 Kevin. Okay, so it starts off with his mother and his home life. He also goes into detail about his brother being sent to jail and how he thought his mother was more lenient on his brother than he was. So I think that was a good idea for her to keep him busy because she had a set schedule for Kevin.
You feel like she was more lenient on the brother?
She was, yeah.
Well, I don't think it's more lenient. I think it's more of a, okay, I realized, not calling his brother a failure, but I realized where I messed up by allowing him.
Well, he mentions it. He says it in a documentary that he thinks that his mom was a little bit more lenient on his brother, and his brother sold drugs and just got
and that's why she was more hard on him. So like she was like she wanted him to do extracurricular activities. So it's just like, I'm gonna put you in swimming class, hopefully that'll keep you off the street.
Right, so she kept him busy, and I think that's a great idea. I think kids should always, stay busy. Also, you get a glimpse at his hustle and his grind from day to day and how he provides for his family and creating generational wealth, which is really, really good. He also goes into building an empire. So not only is Kevin Hart like stand-up comedy.
Yeah, he's like
doing movies.
CEO of Heartbeat Productions.
Heartbeat Productions. He has Laugh Out Loud,
which is it's also an app. I found that out. It's an app.
Okay.
It's an app on your I don't know if it's on Android. I know it's on iPhone, so you can download the Laugh Out Loud app. Free promo. Mm-hmm. And what they have on there is a bunch of comedy specials and little skits. They have Emmanuel Hudson skit on there. And they have different comedians that Kevin Hart decided to pay out of his own pocket, keeping, I don't want to say keeping the money in our community, but keeping the money in our community, but also expanding his brand. And I think it's a really good way of taking off.
Yes, and creating generational wealth for sure. And he also has a couple podcasts with the Plastic Cup Boys, which are basically his crew that he grew up with. They met when they were teenagers. Half of them are comedians.
I think
it's 2 writers, a comedian, and then his trainer.
And his barber.
His barber. That's the Plastic Cup Boys, and I think it's great that he has that community around him.
Yeah.
That was like, okay.
But and throughout, I'm pretty sure we're gonna touch on it, but you could tell that they're actual friends. Like they call each other brothers. You can tell that through watching this. You can honestly tell. We try not to spoil anything for you. Spoiler alert: they may have some spoilers. So if you didn't watch it,
right. Stop it. Go watch it,
and then come back. Make sure you come back though.
Episode 2. It is called Don't Be a Bee. It focuses on it starts out with focusing on the relationship between him and his father. So his father and his mother they weren't really together when he was young. He mentions that he doesn't remember good times with his mother and his father. So his father, he was on drugs and everything, unfortunately. And he eventually got like lung cancer. And he currently has COPD, which he is fighting with. And then it goes into detail about him and his wife, Iniko, and how they met. And it gives a beautiful glimpse at their wedding. Their wedding was very, very beautiful.
And speaking of the wedding, I wanted to touch on, once again, kind of spoiler alert, but the clip that they had of his wedding, if you notice, he had no best men. He had no groom. There was no bridesmaids. It was just him, his wife, and the kids.
Yeah.
And I just thought that stood out to me as a symbol of that's all that matters to me is this is all that really matters to me. Mm-hmm. And I just figured that I like that, so that stood out to me.
Sweet. That was really sweet.
That stood out to me.
So episode 3, it is called What Happened in Vegas. So it goes into detail about the Kevin Hart sex tape scandal in Vegas. He did say that he went without his plastic cup boy. So he wasn't around his community. He was more vulnerable. He was around people that he was unfamiliar with.
It got to the point to where, as his friends, the plastic cup boys, as they were explaining, you can tell that they kind of felt guilty. But honestly, I felt like they shouldn't feel guilty because, Kevin Hart was his own man. He made that decision to do what he did, and he took responsibility for it. Right.
I like that he took accountability for all of his actions. He apologized to his wife because that was very humiliating for her to go through that. He owned everything that he did. He apologized, and it looks like they're happy.
Yeah, from what we can tell.
Right, they're moving on and they're happy. So yeah, that's their business.
But accountability is one of the biggest keys to getting through something, and he definitely took his accountability. But yeah, man, that part really hit for me because as I was watching it, I said to myself, and I might have said it out loud, I was like, watch his homeboys gonna feel bad because they wasn't there because he asked them to go with him.
Yeah, but it was last minute.
And it was last minute. And one of them even said, he was like, oh man, I got a wife, bro. I can't do that.
Right. You can't just leave. You can't just call me on Thursday. Tell me to leave. They were going to Vegas on Friday.
Yeah, no, that don't work. So, I can understand why they would feel bad, but at the same time, it's not their fault.
Right. And the person who allegedly set him up was actually his long-term friend of 15 years, J.T. Jackson. So that case is actually ongoing. He has been allegedly charged with extortion.
Mm-hmm. And but they dropped the charges for part of that, but they're still trying to charge him. He's still on trial for something else, like related to the matter.
Probably corruption or something.
Yeah, something he's related into the matter.
Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, I guess because Kevin was going through a lot, and at the end of the episode, if you remember, they're on the jet, and Kevin is drinking, and it's him and Boss.
And Boss is his trainer, by the way.
Right, Boss is his trainer.
Funny guy.
So they get into it. They're going back to back. I guess they had a couple shots, and they're in the air also. So they get into this heated argument. I don't even know. What were they? I don't even know what they were arguing
okay.
about.
So what they were arguing about was everybody was drinking. They were playing cards. And you know how it could be when you're with your friends. You're playing cards. Kevin throws down the money, say bet. And they got into this argument over money. And basically, Kevin going through all this, everything with his wife, dealing with the scandal with his wife. And then come to find out that it was one of his friends that he held dear, who actually tried to extort him for the money. So the Kevin asked Boss, like, hey, if this ended today, if I stopped doing this today, would you survive? And Boss is like, yeah, I've been making money before you. I'm going to make money after you. And Kevin kept egging it on. And Boss took offense to that, which any man would take offense to that because you're trying to say that I need you, that I can't survive without you. And, but because of their bond and how strong they are, they hang out every day, they were able to handle it like men once they got off the plane. And so, and another reason why that was happening because Kevin took accountability. He knew he was wrong in that situation.
And that starts off with the episode 4. It's called Bulletproof. They pick up where they left off in episode 3. Kevin does take accountability for his actions. He sends a tweet to his Plastic Cup crew and basically apologizes. And he had a little bit too much to drink. And I was happy to see him squash the situation with Boss. Because just from looking at how they train together and they're like real friends, they keep it 100 with each other, I thought that was really cool. And for them to squash the beef or whatever it was, the argument, and to say, okay, let's get this money because we got this meeting with Chase. Okay, we have this Nike deal. So they have a lot of business together. So instead of holding grudges and being mad at each other, they decided to just squash the beef and move forward. And I thought that was dope.
Yeah, which, I mean, I honestly, it's not supposed to happen any other way.
I thought that was really cool. So also in episode 4, they talk about his upcoming movie that he is working on. He's trying to put together Uptown Saturday Night. So he actually pitches the movie to Idris Elba, and in a couple episodes before episode 4, he pitched the movie to Chadwick Boseman.
And which Chadwick actually agreed to do it, and Idris agreed to do it.
Yes, I'm excited. So
yeah, I want to see this.
I think that's currently in the works, like right now.
Yeah, he's comparing it to like Harlem Nights, which growing up Harlem Nights was and still is my favorite movie of all time. So I'm really, 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 really hoping he don't, like, I don't think he's gonna drop the ball, but when you compare it to Harlem Nights,
I think it's gonna be funny. Like, cause Harlem Nights is funny.
Harlem Nights.
I think it's gonna be. He wants it to be the modern day Harlem Nights.
Exactly, but you got to think about, okay, Harlem Nights had Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, those 3 alone. Then you had the backup cast, Alonzo Hall. Is it Alonzo Hall? Yeah. She was touched by Della Reese.
Yeah, Della Reese.
Della Reese. So I mean, it's levels, man. So who's gonna? I don't know. Harlem Nights is.
I'm excited. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm most definitely excited, but I'm just saying.
Whenever his movies, we gonna see it. I think that would be a great production.
But speaking of movies, that might be something that don't hit movies. That might be something that because he's going further with the Laugh Out Loud network, and that might be something they like. You know how Netflix has.
I would put that in movie theaters.
But you know how Netflix has their Netflix originals
at the same time. You can see the box office sales, ticket sales, all that stuff. Okay. Also, okay, so that was episode 4, and then we move on to episode 5. The title of episode 5 was "This Has to Work." I like the intro of episode 5 because they give a breakdown of how many world tours he has done, and you can really see
him doing them.
Yeah, him doing it, and you can really like, okay, like he's out
working.
here working,
like,
but you like,
so
okay,
so. He was doing his tour basically consists of 150 shows, and you got to think about that night in, night out, repeating the same thing, going over your lines, doing this 150 times. Like that takes dedication to go here, fly here, and you still have family problems because at the time of the tour he was dealing with the Vegas situation. You know, he had the movies coming out. He had to do the radio interviews.
That was for the 2018 tour for the Irresponsible. So I wrote down all of them. So in 2009 he had Grown Little Man. 2010 he had Seriously Funny. 2011 he had Laugh at My Pain. 2013 he had Let Me Explain. 2016 he had What Now, and then 2018 when he was going through all of the controversy, it was Irresponsible Tour. So he's been going on tours back to that. So
out of those tours,
on top of movies and stuff like.
What would you say be your favorite comedy stand-up
comedy special? Probably Laugh at My Pain. It's between Laugh at My Pain and Seriously Funny.
That probably where Let Me Explain was. Did you have what? I don't know.
Let Me Explain was good too. Yeah. But I think Laugh at My Pain was like
between Laugh at My Pain and Seriously Funny. What was the one where he was talking about with the teacher? That was Seriously Funny?
I think that was Laugh at My Pain.
No.
When he was talking about his dad.
No, with the that was laughing at my pants.
In the gray sweatpants.
Yeah.
Because he goes into detail of like where he came from.
Yeah, he gave you more.
These are my parents. This was what happened at the funeral. No, she wasn't ready. You know, all of that stuff. That hits home.
Okay, so yeah.
You know,
laughing my pain.
And it also lets me know more about him. Like, oh, he had to go through this, but he's putting it in a comedic form. You know, he's making money off of it too. Okay. So I thought that was dope. And then he also goes. So we still on episode 5. He also goes into telling his mother, brother, and his father that, hey, I want to be a comedian one day. You know, what do you think? And he goes into how they were like, how are you going to be a comedian? You know, like, how can you make money?
Yeah, they were down them.
And be a comedian. And that just goes to show you, like, look at him now. Like, he never stopped. He kept going. So I thought that was cool. The last episode, title of the last episode, which is episode 6, is called Kingdom of Kevin. Okay, so this is when stuff hits the fan. Okay, Kevin faces controversy about tweets that he tweeted in 2009 and 2010 about his son being gay.
Son's not gay. If his son was gay,
right.
So,
I think the tweet was like, if I walked in and saw my son playing with my daughter's baby dolls or baby doll house, I would hit him on the side of the head and say, like, cut that out or stop being gay or something like that. It was something. He would say,
I would say in my voice, stop, that's gay.
Yeah.
Because in his 2009, which I think it was seriously funny, a grown little man, he had a joke where he said, my biggest fear is my son being gay.
Yeah.
And we was at a party, and I saw the little boy rubbing against my son, and all you hear is the corduroy. I'm sorry. All you hear is the corduroy plans. So the issue that I took with the whole thing, and I actually had to watch the whole show to kind of get an understanding, which I'm not going to spoil that part, but when it initially happened, my take on it was, why should he apologize? Like, those tweets are from 2009 and 2010, and since in 2009 he had Grown Little Man, 2010 he had Seriously Funny, since 2010 he's had Laugh at My Pain, Let Me Explain, What Now, Irresponsible, and countless movies. So my thing was, if it wasn't that big of a deal from 2010 to now, which is 2018, 2019, why is it a big deal because he's hosting the Oscars? Why all of a sudden now he's a problem because he was holding the Oscars? He wasn't a problem when it was in the movies or when it was his show. Y'all didn't want to kick him out of the movies. So why? Because he's about to be one of many, well, not one of many, I'm sorry, one of few African Americans to host the Oscars. Why is it that now, this happened? So that's where I took issue with it. But then I actually had to watch, and I kind of got a better understanding of it, which I still say it shouldn't have. The way it came out, it felt like, Kevin Hart's doing this, throw this out. I still feel that way, but I also understand the other side of it.
Well, I feel like when you're famous, as Kevin Hart is, you're like a target. A lot of people get in trouble for tweets these days. Even old tweets, people bring up tweets from like 10, 20 years ago. And then you have to apologize for it. But he was offered the opportunity to host the Oscars, but decided to reject the offer after he felt that he had apologized and addressed the situation over and over and over. He went on Ellen. He mentioned it on Ellen. He did a couple of videos on social media apologizing for his actions. But the issue was the
tone,
his tone, and the fan base didn't feel like he didn't clearly state that he does not condone any violence towards the LGBT community. He did not clearly state that, and when he was apologizing, I guess they thought it wasn't sincere enough. So that
But,
was
I mean,
it.
in
But
which-
he did take accountability.
He took accountability, and he also said that there was growth. Why are y'all going back in the past? It's not something
That's
that
what
happened.
people do.
Yeah,
You
it's not
say
something
this,
that
that's what people
happened.
do.
You know, I've grown since then, so why I've apologized for it already, I've addressed it already, so why now that this opportunity is being faced to me, why is it now a problem? So, I mean, but all in all, it was a great show. I definitely recommend you watch it. It's on Netflix.
Also, I was waiting for them to mention his car accident. You know, he got in a car accident recently.
DUI?
I don't know if that's a DUI, but he did get in a car accident. It was a horrible car crash. He was in an old school model car, and he got hurt. His back got hurt. I thought that was going to be on this documentary, but I did notice that Netflix says this is season 1. So hopefully we have a season 2.
Okay.
And then they'll probably get into details about his car accident, because they didn't really release a lot of details about the car accident, but I did see the vehicle after the wreck on the internet, and it was
But you know what? That's a nice segue, because the spoiler alert, last episode, remember when he bought everybody the old schools, and he said, I'm not gonna be the only one riding in the old school.
Yeah, he bought everyone. He bought all of his
Plastic Cup Boys, their dream old school car.
It was really nice.
So that might be a segue into the first episode of the next season. So hopefully we'll wait and see if that's what happened, man. But thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. If there's anything you want us to talk about, anything you want us to react to, make sure you comment below. And make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All that's going to be in the description below.